Hey guys, it's me Dory, and today I'm going to be going through some more manga nostalgia, but this time with new editions that we have been blessed with recently in English. All of these are based off of new editions that were originally released in Japanese first. And as far as I'm aware, these should be one-to-one to the Japanese releases, except for Mushishi, which I will get into in a bit. But all of the original versions of these series' English releases are out of print, and have been out of print for quite some time. So being able to indulge in these new editions has been amazing for collectors like myself, and people just interested in older series that never got a chance to when they were first being released. And these are the ones that I have collected recently, so I just figured I would do a quick showcase of them, in case anybody had maybe been on the fence about buying them or were just curious about the contents. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with our first one here. Okay, first up is going to be D.N.Angel here. I will be going in alphabetical order, so if there's a particular series you'd like to skip to, that's the order I'll be doing them in. Currently, all of these series are still being released in English, except for Marmalade Boy. But each of these new editions have been completed in Japanese, so we do know how many volumes will be releasing on the English side. The new edition of D.N.Angel in English is being released by Yen Press. And this new edition was actually released not too long after the original Japanese series completed, as D.N.Angel was originally notorious for going on pretty frequent long hiatuses. I believe the series was completed, I think, 24 years after it was initially started. So yeah, on the Japanese side of things, they were definitely very quick to make a new edition, which is fine by me because I believe it is absolutely gorgeous. And I'm glad Yen Press was able to basically keep the same style. And what I mean by that is, if you can tell in the light, the cover actually shimmers. Mainly gold and silver, but also like in his eyes. And it also follows into the spine itself, which is a little harder to tell. And the back as well. So, love that holographic touch there, which obviously is something you really don't see a lot in manga covers. So they really went all out for this one. The new edition will be 10 volumes total from the original 20-volume release. On the English side of things, this will actually be the first time that D.N.Angel will be completed in English, as Tokyopop, who had the original license for it, initially went defunct in 2011 and lost all of their previous licenses, and thus were not able to complete the series. So for anybody who is nostalgic about the original release of the series and was never able to complete it, this is your golden opportunity here, and it is an absolutely beautiful edition. So we'll just take a quick peek inside here. The front part here does include a pullout of the entirety of the cover's picture, and also includes color pages, which, you know, we love that here. Here's the contents here. But yes, it does include the color pages. Each color page of each chapter. And any chapters that started with color pages as well. Skipping past that, the end does have a few additional color pages. Not too many, but I mean, the fact that they're included, period, is already a plus. Now, I will say for Yen Press, there surprisingly isn't any translation notes. So I don't know if they just felt that they didn't need translation notes. I'm sure the series is okay without them, but just kind of curious, as Yen Press is usually pretty good about translation notes. But yeah, there's the quick overview there of D.N.Angel. And yeah, I definitely think this new edition is absolutely peak, and I believe is definitely a must-have for any shoujo collector for sure. So yeah, we'll move on to the next one here. Next up here is Marmalade Boy. This collector's edition of Marmalade Boy is based off of the original Bunkoban release in Japanese. And there are 5 volumes total out of the original 8. Tokyopop originally released the series and did release it to completion, and was actually a series I did finish reading when I was younger, through a friend, I never actually had the series fully to myself. I did initially start collecting it for nostalgic purposes, but then when this edition came out, I was like, okay, and tossed the Tokyo Pop ones aside. This is also another nostalgic shoujo series, but it is a shoujo series that I actually found myself enjoying pretty well. There's some shoujo series where the drama is just unnecessarily heightened, a lot of times just to keep plot moving. And there were some instances where it became the characters get upset because of a misunderstanding type deal and they don't hash it out for a while. But I think the series' pacing was pretty well, and some of the conflicts in the story weren't too ham-fisted or anything. So we'll take a quick peek here. This series also includes all of the original color pages, and there's quite a lot of them. But another thing it includes is there are a lot of original pictures from the magazine it was originally introduced in, Ribbon. And there's a lot of them. You'll pretty much find a good majority of them in between each chapter. So basically a mini art book, as you will, included in each volume. Because, I mean, they included literally as many as they could. There's also a couple other minor inclusions that weren't colored, but that's all right. This series was released in English by 7 Seas, which isn't very known for doing translation notes. But I don't believe Marmalade Boy is a series that really needs translation notes, so that's not really too bad. But yeah, I would definitely say Marmalade Boy is one of the better OG classic shoujo series. If you're bothered by step-sibling relationships, then it might be a turnoff, but I honestly don't really think it hinders the experience too much. But yeah, it's just a shoujo series that I actually found myself wanting to go back to and revisit, so I was definitely glad for the inclusion of this release in English. And as of this video, this is the only one of everyone I'm going to showcase that is complete. So you can go out and buy all 5 of them now if you want to. So yeah, we'll move on to the next one here. This here is Mushishi. This version is based off of the collector's edition in Japanese, although this one is just slightly different, as this release by Kodansha combined the original 10 volumes into 5. But as far as I'm aware, these are directly based on the original collector's edition. This is also a hardcover release, which usually manga is not given a hardcover form in Japanese. And I know hardcover manga releases have gotten a lot more popular in recent years. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of them. I actually don't own too many myself, but this isn't like a huge deluxe edition or anything like that, so I don't think it's too bad. Mushishi is actually a series that I did not read as a kid. The original series was produced by Del Rey in English, and the Del Rey version of the series ended up going for quite a hefty sum. So it was a series that I initially thought I was just going to eventually have to read online. And when Kodansha announced this collector's edition, it definitely got a lot of hype. And that is definitely another thing that's very exciting about these new releases, is that some of the series that became way overpriced in recent years are now readily available for people who would finally like to have the series for themselves, that either weren't able to collect it back in the day or just weren't around to originally collect it back in the day. Me being the former, as I just had not heard about this series until after it was way out of print. So yeah, this is my first read-through of the series, and I've read the first volume so far, and it is very fascinating. One thing to know about me is I'm very into episodic series, especially ones that have some kind of moral or lesson or something to be learned. So that already had my attention from the get-go, so. But yeah, we'll take a quick look inside here. As you can see from the table of contents, there are translation notes, which Kodansha is very big on, so that works. As for color pages, there weren't any in the first chapter, surprisingly, but these are also included as well. which honestly might get a little redundant to say after a while, but color page inclusions are very important to me, so I figure it's important to point out. Especially since the art in the series is beautiful. The use of colors is very well done. Muted to a degree, but still really nice to look at. And there isn't really too much special besides that, but like I said, there are heavy translation notes in the series, so that is very helpful, considering how many Japanese terms are just used in the series. You know, Kodansha, especially with their newer editions, they really like to go hard for translation notes, which is always a plus. For anybody interested in this, the price tag for it being a hardcover is a little hefty. It is $30. But if you've heard good things about it and you've been kind of on the fence about it, there may be a chapter or two available online. I would say check it out through that first. But if you're even just a tiny bit interested, I would say this would definitely be worth the investment. And honestly, for how much the original Del Rey volumes were going for, I don't think the price now is too heavy to pay. So let's move on to the next one here. Now here is one of my favorite classic series, Pet Shop of Horrors. This collector's edition is based off of the original Bunkoban version in Japanese, and this combines 7 volumes from the original 10. This series did get a full release by Tokyopop, but it is also another series that became pricey as the years went on. Tokyopop did also release the sequel series, New Pet Shop of Horrors, which they dubbed Pet Shop of Horrors Tokyo, but that one did not actually get a full release. So for someone like me who wanted to continue to indulge in Pet Shop of Horrors, it came to a grinding halt, unfortunately. Now, as far as I'm aware, Pet Shop of Horrors is the only one that got a newer release in Japanese. I don't believe New Pet Shop of Horrors has gotten one. So as to if Seven Seas, who has released this new collector's edition, will also release the sequel, New Pet Shop of Horrors, I don't believe that they will. Since these were based off of a new Japanese release, they wouldn't have anything to base it on. But who knows, a lot of these publishers have kind of been hitting it out of the park with not only licensing old series that a lot of people didn't think would ever get licenses, but also re-releasing these series whose older versions have been way out of print for a long time. So fingers crossed, I'm hoping. This is one of the few Josei series I actually own, and I would even go so far as to say is maybe in my top 30 favorite series of all time. I haven't written out a list in a while, but it's definitely up there. So we'll just take a gander real quick. Now, one thing, unfortunately, to note about this edition is that there actually aren't any color pages. Even though you can tell the first page of each chapter should be in color, they are not included. I don't know if that's the case for the original Japanese version, as like I said, these are usually based directly off the Japanese release. But I find that to be pretty unfortunate. Other than that, there is a pet catalog for each of the pets in each chapter. And other author's notes. No actual translation notes. The series does take place in America, and a lot of the animals get mentioned as being from other countries. So I don't feel that translation notes are actually really needed, as most of what's explained about the animals themselves are in the story and in the pet catalogs. So I don't think that hinders it too much. But I will say the inclusion of no color pages does make this just a little unfortunate. I mean, just look at the use of colors on the cover of Volume 1 here. It's just amazing. But it's just one negative note among way too many positives. The series is absolutely amazing. And if you enjoy darker episodic series like I do, I think this is an absolute must-have. But yeah, I actually didn't read the original Pet Shop of Horrors first. I read Pet Shop of Horrors Tokyo through a friend, and then went back online and ended up reading all of Pet Shop of Horrors in pretty much one go, since the Tokyo Pop version seemed like it was out of reach. I literally was there day one when this release came out, and like I said, I'm hoping for an announcement of Pet Shop of Horrors Tokyo, and hoping maybe that gets a complete release in English eventually. So let's move to the next one here. Here we've got Rozen Maiden. This is based off of the 20th Anniversary Collector's Edition in Japanese. And I actually didn't know this until I started collecting it, but all 7 volumes of this version of Rozen Maiden also includes its sequel, Rozen Maiden 2. In English, it did get a full release by Tokyo Pop, but the sequel never got a translation. As someone who actually didn't read Rozen Maiden as a kid, but was interested in it after I got into Peach Pit's works through Deers and Shugochara, I was very intrigued to find this information out. So if you read the original Rozen Maiden from Tokyo Pop, and either didn't know that there was a sequel, or didn't know that this new edition included the sequel, then this series is basically a must-have. Like I said, I picked this up because I had been interested in more Peach Pit's work, and I did kind of like the synopsis just a bit. The main characters honestly did grate on me a little bit in the beginning, but as the story started to pick up and more characters got introduced, I found myself enjoying it a bit more. Seven Seas is the publisher who is releasing this version in English. And let's take a look inside here. Just these opening pages are just gorgeous alone. I don't even have to turn a page and I'm already enamored. Yes, color pages are included in this one. And if you just like Peach Pit's art even just a little bit, you'll definitely adore the series. Mainly from all the different outfits all the dolls wear. Here's just a full page spread of one of the color pages. So since this packs the original 8 volumes of Rozen Maiden 1 and 10 volumes of Rozen Maiden 2 into 7 volumes total, these books are definitely pretty hefty. I actually got a spine crack in volume 2, and I don't even know how it happened because I've been very careful reading these, but sometimes it just happens quicker than you realize. So that's a bit unfortunate. And then at the end here, there's just some updated art for the new editions. So yeah, this is definitely the definitive edition in English. I was working on collecting the original Tokyo Pop versions before this version was announced, and I would like to say that I am very nostalgic for original singles releases, since that's basically what was available back in the day when I collected in the mid-2000s. And when omnibuses first started getting popular, they were mainly just throw 3 volumes in one and sell them for cheaper, like Viz's 3-in-1s, like the Naruto ones, or the original Rurouni Kenshin ones. And some of them, like Gantz from Dark Horse, are pretty tightly packed, so those are prone to potential spine cracks, which as a manga collector is literally the worst thing to happen to your manga besides water damage. But a lot of these special editions aren't really considered omnibuses, and they're usually taller and much better quality and include color pages, which a lot of the original omnibuses didn't, since, like I said, they just combined the singles into 3 books and made them a little bit cheaper. So because of that, I've definitely grown more fond of them over the years. And of course, with more hardcover and deluxe editions getting released, manga binding for bigger volumes has definitely gotten a lot better over the years. So yeah, that's just me rambling about that real quick. If you're an old school collector like me, I think you know what I mean. So we'll move on to the last one here real quick. So hilariously enough, we have a reversal of the last series. In English, Shugochara, this new edition, was released as the 20th anniversary edition, but was actually originally released as the new edition in Japanese, as it had only been, I believe, about 15 years at that point since the original Shugochara came out. And Rozen Maiden in English just came out as the collector's edition, even though the original Japanese version was considered the 20th anniversary edition. So just kind of funny how that works. This is also another series by Peach Pit. but this series I am heavily nostalgia for. I actually did do a video recently comparing this version with the original Del Rey release, as I do have the original completed Del Rey release. Well, I say original, but it was actually the reprint under Kodansha, because I didn't get it until late 2010s. But it was a series I did read about the first few volumes of when I was younger. But yeah, since I already made a video on this, I'm not going to go too in-depth with it. If you want to hear my thorough thoughts about it, you can go check out that video. But if you don't want to, that's alright. I will definitely still glance through its pages real quick for anybody curious. As this first volume here did only just come out in March, this 20th anniversary edition here is being released by Kodansha, who did actually take over Del Rey's version originally. So let's take a peek here. The original cover art is included, and other numerous color pages. They're included at the beginning and middle of the volumes. Also in this version is a few extra minor panels and art from Peach Pit for the new version. And also some additional art that was included in magazine covers or chapter covers with notes by the authors. So like I said, the color pages are included at the beginning of each chapter, but not the actual color page itself, as this one in particular is included at the beginning. So that's kind of how they distributed the color pages in here. But it does seem like most, if not all of them, are included. And like I said, because this is Kodansha, they really like their translation notes. Now, as I noted in the other video, these are actually a little bit different from the Del Rey ones. Some of them are the same, but some of them are a little bit more in-depth. So yeah. When I saw the original new editions come out in Japanese, I honestly kind of wanted to get them just for collector's purposes. Shugo isn't like one of my absolute favorite series or anything, but I am a very big Magical Girl collector, and I really loved what they did with the new editions. So when this got announced, I was all on it, and also intend to keep my original Del Rey releases as well, now that those versions are out of print, basically, and the later volumes go for a significant amount. I would say this is definitely a must-have for anybody who likes Magical Girl series in general, but anybody even just a little bit nostalgic for Shugo Chara should definitely go for this. And also, at the same time, Kodansha is releasing the sequel series, Jewel Joker, which only came out a few years ago and is still going. So yeah, like I said, if you were curious about just a little bit more info regarding those releases, I do have a pretty short video going over the differences between the original Del Rey release and this new edition, and just a quick peek at Jewel Joker. But yeah, I think I've said everything else I need to say about this new release here, along with the others. So we'll move on to my closing remarks here. So yeah, unfortunately I can't fit these all into frame due to how my camera's set up, which is why I specifically showed the spines in the beginning, but that's okay, it'll just have to make do. So I didn't go too in-depth about my nostalgia for the series as much as the other videos I've done manga nostalgia on, but I really just kind of wanted to take this as an opportunity to just show off these new editions, and also just kind of inform anybody who is maybe on the fence about getting some of these as to whether they're worth getting or not. I guess I'm biased towards these because I own them, but if you grew up collecting manga in the 2000s like I did, then I'm sure at least one or two of these series you probably either have some nostalgia for or at least some interest in. All of these series originally came out in the 90s to early 2000s, except for Shugo Chara, which came out in the mid-2000s. But still, all of these series are over 20 years old. I would say out of all of these series, the one I would definitely recommend the most would be Pet Shop of Horrors. It's not the series I have the most nostalgia for out of all of these, but it's definitely the one that I enjoyed the most. But if you like Pet Shop of Horrors, you'd probably also like Mushishi as well. And yeah, there are some other manga I could have also included in this too, in a way. Yokohama Kaidashi Kiko is another old school series that got a beautiful release by Seven Seas fairly recently, but it's not a series that had an initial English release from a different publisher. That version is the first version that we ever got in English of that series, and it is also another series I highly recommend, but didn't really fit with the core theme of this video. And I also could have included some of Dark Horse's Clamp releases, like RG Beta, or Kodansha's new collector's edition of Chobits, but those aren't actually based on any Japanese release that I'm aware of, while these were all based on a specific new Japanese release. I guess I could have also included the new Clamp Premium Collection release of Tokyo Babylon that Yen Press did recently, but honestly, Clamp releases could really just have a video on their own, and the Tokyo Babylon ones were actually a singles release instead of like an omnibus release. But like I said, I could do a whole video probably on all of Clamp's different releases and series. But yeah, before I ramble on too long, hopefully somebody got some enjoyment out of watching this at least. And yeah, hopefully somebody out there may think to pick up one of these series because of this video. I'm a little hopeful. I'm always excited to talk about manga, and especially talking about older manga series, since they're easy to get drowned out by all the new stuff coming out recently. And as a manga collector, this just is very nice to see. And I hope we get many, 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 many more of these releases. So yeah, if you just happen to make it this far, thanks for watching. And I have a few more nostalgic videos planned, so look forward to that. So yeah, I'll end this here, and as always, thanks for watching. Bye!